and welcome to Chart of the Day Cafe for Tuesday, February 21st, 2017. Just want to read our disclaimer quickly. Trading stocks is a high level of risk and viewers should complete their own due diligence on any stock or underlying that they intend to own. 100% of the content of this video and communique is intended for journalistic and educational purposes only. This video and all indicators, strategies, and articles herein should not be construed as investment advice. Not making any recommendations, always for your further homework. Hope everybody had a great long weekend. It was President's Day in the US and Family Day here in Canada. I'm up in cottage country. It was glorious up here, so really enjoyed having those 3 days. Hope you did too. I'm filming this at about 8:30 on Tuesday morning. The futures look to be getting off to a green start for the day, so let's get into our video. We always start with a look at the Russell Index, and for that we use the IWM, which is the ETF that represents the Russell 2000, and we step back to take a look at it on the 5-year monthly time frame, getting that bigger picture look. So we were keeping particular attention on this light blue shaded line that offered resistance back here in 2015. Keep in mind we're looking at the monthly candles, but you can see that the candle for the month of November 2016 put us through that light blue shaded line. So here's November, December, January was a little bit of a doji, and here we are so far for the month of February. So we've got this little wedge pattern drawn in here on the smaller time frame. So that's the bigger picture look. Candle for the month of February so far shaping up to be pretty bullish. Let's move it away from the 5-year monthly to the 1-year weekly, where we can better see that little wedge that we had drawn in. We had this area of support here on our little wedge, and this smaller orange line here as an area of possible resistance coming into this anchor candle for our wedge, but it looks as though we made it up and over that area. Having said that, you can see that the candle for last week was a doji, so indecision coming in, but we're getting a strong start to the week so far. So we'll see how this week's candle compares to last week's. But like the look so far, fairly bullish. Volume is decent. Let's move it away from the weekly to the monthly, or daily, I should say. So there's that same wedge. There's the area of support on that weekly chart. Here's the longer line of support on the big 5-year chart. And you can see that we're sort of dancing around this minor area on the daily, which marks the top of the anchor candle over here. So we're trading in a little bit of a mini wedge here. So let's put in a little line. You can see that, whoops, a daisy, I can draw a better line than that. Sorry about that. You can see that we'll get a candle, at least for the start of the day, that breaks us out of this little mini wedge. So we'll see how the day actually shows up candle-wise by the end of the day, but it looks like we might be getting a little bit of a breakout from this tiny little mini wedge. So with that, and price up and over the 8-day EMA on the daily chart, we will be putting a new chart forward this morning. And so that new chart that we're going to add to our watch list today is Imperial Oil Limited, IMO. It is dual listed, so it trades on the Toronto Exchange as well as in the US. Before I get into the chart, let me tell you a little bit more about the company. A lot of you will be familiar with it. Imperial Oil engages in the exploration, production, and sale of crude oil and natural gas in Canada. The company operates through 3 segments: upstream, downstream, and chemical. You know, at Chart of the Day Cafe, it's all about value. I look for value first. And this one has a value score that qualifies it for our list. It's not as deep in the value as I normally like to get my picks, but I want to take advantage of a possible sector rotation here into energy. The energy sector is coming into a period of seasonal strength, and the scores qualify it, although it is not as high as I normally like to see. So just wanted to underline that it qualifies. It's got a forecasted earnings growth rate of 6%, so it's got that growth factor that we look for. And the third thing we look for, we don't always get, but in this case it is there, it's a dividend yield. And the current dividend yield for Imperial Oil is 1.41%. Current PE is 17.04. So with that, let's get into the chart. We're looking at the 2-year weekly chart. This is a longer term area of support, my orange line. You can see on the weekly chart how it was kind of dancing around this area and then started to lift. And it looks as though if we get a strong week this week, it may want to lift from this area and make what might possibly be a higher high than here. We're looking at the weekly chart, so it would be a swing higher. We will see. I'm going to move it away from the 2-year weekly to the 6-month daily so you can better see how price is behaving. So at Chart of the Day Cafe, it's all about price being up and over this blue line, and we like to use, for an example, the 3 and the 8. So when the pink crosses the blue and we get that lift, we're interested. Squeezes are okay, and then we get this lift here again. But when it crosses below, no longer interested. I know everyone has their own way of doing things, and I'm just putting charts of interest in front of you. I do not currently own Imperial Oil, but I like the look of this chart. So again, we like to see the 3 up and over that 8 and that lift. And so I'm going to zoom it in here a little bit because we've got the beginning of a possible 3 and 8 crossover here. We certainly want to see more lift, so we'll see how it behaves today. I like the look of this chart here and the way it's kind of basing and may possibly lift from this area. Regular viewers know that we always like to take a look at the sector that our new watch list pick is in. And for that, we're going to use the XLE, which is the ETF for the energy sector in the US. I'll remind you that Imperial Oil is dual listed, but we are looking at it on the US side, so we're going to use the US ETF. We're looking at the 2-year weekly chart. You can see that it's in this nice uptrend on the 2-year weekly. This area of consolidation was a nice, I like to see that on a chart. And then we had this move through this prior area of resistance, which is now support with volume. And that's a nice healthy candle pushing us through. And we're now trading in this area where if this is truly going to be this area of support is going to hold, then we need to see some price firming up right around now. So the candle for last week, not so great, but we'll see if this area of support can hold, and we'll see some lift coming in here in the week and weeks ahead. So let's move it away from the 2-year weekly to the 6-month daily so we can better see how price is behaving. This is the same chart we looked at for BP. I see the energy sector looks as though it may start to get some strength, and it is coming into that seasonal period of strength. So keeping a close eye on this sector for sure. Futures look to be solid for crude, and it's worth noting Citigroup made a bullish call this morning, calling for higher crude prices, although it's a bit of a controversial call. I will include a link to this with today's video, but this is why I'm circling this sector. Coming into seasonal strength, and the charts suggest a little bit of perkiness, so we will see. All about price being up and over that 8-day EMA. I always like to curate additional pieces of information as to why I am choosing this particular chart for our watch list. And those of you that are regular viewers know how much I really love this website, equityclock.com. It's amazing. So you can see that Imperial Oil is coming into a period of seasonal strength. No guarantee that happens again this year, but always good to know that your chart pick has that seasonal strength behind it. I'm also going to include a BNN interview with Ross Healy. It's dated January 19th, I believe. Yeah, January 19th, and Imperial Oil is one of his top picks. Interesting interview. I will include the link, as well as the link to an article, Zach's article. It's a Zach's #1 strong buy pick. I will include the link to that article as well. And so let's go back and check the boxes for Imperial Oil. We looked at the market overall using the IWM, and we can see that price is up and over the 8-day EMA on the daily chart. Check the box. We looked at the sector that it's in using the XLE, which is the ETF on the American side. We can see that it looks to be building a base on the 2-year chart and maybe possibly lifting here. Same with Imperial Oil. It's dual listed, but we're looking at it on the US side. Same possible basing pattern and same possible lift coming in here on the 2-year chart. We looked at the value score. It's got a value score that qualifies it for our list. It's not as high as I normally choose for my chart of the day cafe picks, but we want to take advantage of strength coming into this sector, and I like that it's dual listed and it's got a value score that qualifies it. It's got a growth score with a forecasted earnings growth rate of 6%. So these two are highlighted because these two are absolute musts for Chart of the Day Cafe. Third thing is a dividend yield of 1.40% currently. So it's got that dividend. It has a 3 and 8 EMA cross just already. It's got seasonality in its favor. It's coming into a period of seasonal strength, and it is currently rated a Zacks #1 strong buy. We're also going to include the interview, the BNN interview with the fellow who likes Imperial Oil here, and also a link to Citi's call today for higher crude prices. Currently, the PE on Imperial Oil is 17.04. It's past earnings, and the reason I'm choosing it is because of the possible advantage Imperial Oil will have with the sale of its retail gas stations for $2.8 billion last year, and its refocus on the oil sands and its overall strategy. I'm going to include this old Globe and Mail article that refers to that sale as well. As a reminder, I just wanted to say, if you like these videos, please subscribe to our channel by hitting the red subscribe button on the home page, and be sure to check out our discussion section where Monday through Thursday I will endeavor to put a little note if one of our past chart picks has a strong day and a fresh 3 and 8 cross. I'll endeavor to put it and post it here. Thanks and have a great day. Our next video goes out on Thursday.